All right, I have no clue what's going on, but okay. Okay, let's see how this works. Let's see. If you can hear me, hit 1. 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 There we go. I think that worked. Okay. All right, Joe. Sorry for the technical difficulties, family. Spent a good amount of time trying to set this up. I got to see what's going on with my microphone right here. I don't know what's going on with this microphone. So I'm just going to stick with my webcam mic for now. All right. So I'm just trying some things out, man. You know, like I said, you know, ever since Hangouts on air stopped being a feature for YouTube, I know a lot of people are scrambling to find something to replace it. And I've been preparing for this for some time now. You know what I mean? So I had XSplit. XSplit is not too bad. I mean, it's good for people who like heavy customization and, you know, all the intricate details, settings, and configurations. You know what I'm saying? Then XSplit fit for you. For me, it was pretty good, but I mean, it just wasn't really user accessible enough for me. It was a bit clunky. I knew how to get to things and set things up, but it took too long to really customize everything. So anyway, with that being said, I decided to try something different. So I'm going to play around with this. I mean, y'all can definitely leave some suggestions if y'all have some. I'll tweak it a bit, make it good, and so forth. All right. So yeah, that's the my webcam mic that y'all hear. That's not this expensive microphone that I bought, but I gotta see what's going on with it. All right. If the audio is clear, let me know. If the audio and video is clear, hit 1. If everything is in sync, let me know. This session here, since it is kind of late, I mean, it was just pretty much just me freestyling today for the most part. Trying to center this. Center it. I think that should be good. So, yes, it's late. I know everybody's not going to be on right now, but that's all good. The people who are online, I give you a little bit of time. Again, this is really just a test, really just this Freestyle Friday session. I mean, for best quality, it's good to put it in your phone in landscape mode. And I'm saying to check out the broadcast. Going forward, you're probably going to see different backgrounds on here. Also, this new software that I'm using allows me to pull in guests. You know what I'm saying? So if anybody that's on here right now, since it is late, and again, since this is like a test Freestyle Friday session, I don't even have a topic, nothing like that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to let me know if y'all want to join in. If you want to join in on camera, let me know. If you want to join in, just let me know. We'll set that up real quick. All right. So shalom to Donnie Gunter, Ariyahu Williams, 916 Shan, Shalom Makoti, Simone Riley, Donnell Jones, Reliable Andrew, Danya Al Yasharala, Terry Butler, Sean Henderson. What's going on? All right. I didn't even share this link, really. So, I mean, a lot of people don't even know I'm live right now. But so, yeah, so I apologize for that, family. Like I said, I've been just had some free time not too long ago and was just going through the different options I had, as it pertains to choosing something that, fits, what I'm looking for as far as like quality, as far as features and stuff like that. I guess we can get started. All right, like I said, you can just put it in landscape mode. I think it works best in landscape mode. It looks pretty sharp to me. I'm looking on my phone right now. You know what I'm saying? So, all right. So, let's get started. So, first things first, I was gonna let y'all know that unfortunately I was unable to make it to New York this weekend. Had some issues with plane tickets. So unfortunately, I was not able to make it to New York. So as you can see, I'm home still. I'm not in New York. So those of you who are looking to holler at me, have people hit me up and stuff like that, I apologize. It was something that was out of my control. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to make it to New York, right? Now, with that being said, I will be in High Point, North Carolina, though, in 2 weeks. All right. So in 2 weeks, I'll be in High Point, North Carolina. And then on the 20th, 21st, 22nd, I'll be in New Orleans. I'll be touching down New Orleans. So the High Point thing, I'm going to visit some friends and associates out there. And I'll also be there for the Hebrews to Negroes event that's going to be out in High Point, North Carolina. And then on the 20th, 21st, 22nd, I'll be in New Orleans. I'm still working with that team out there so I can secure everything. I'm going to holler at them tomorrow. Make sure we have everything locked down so that way we can revise the flyer and send it out to y'all. You can check it out. I know there's been a lot of people in New Orleans has been hitting me up and saying when I'm going to come to New Orleans, but we will be there on the 21st of September. All right. So, again, I'm not in New York. So those of you looking for me in New York, unfortunately, I will not be there. Now, with that being said, I heard the event was pretty good out in New York. So, hopefully y'all enjoy that Hebrew Sneaker event out there in New York. And I mean, again, I'll be there for the one in High Point, North Carolina, on the 7th of next month. All right. So, now that that's out the way, so since I'm taking time out to play around with these different setups, again, like I said, I like this one that I'm using better. I'm gonna tweak it around a little bit more so I can get it to my liking. Like I said, if you have any suggestions, let me know. And since it is extremely late, I'm not gonna go too deep on this session. But anyway, there is what I do want to show y'all is some of the video, not too much of it, but some of the video from the Patreon upload. So y'all saw the Demystifying Biblical Misconceptions, Perfection. That's the name of that first lesson, and that's in a series called Demystifying Biblical Misconceptions, DBM. That series is exclusive to Patreon, and that is going to have a lot of things that we're going to clear up scripturally, so that way when our community interfaces with the Christian community, we're able to find the means of reproof, correction, etc. Just by understanding some fundamental things and combing through the scriptures and so forth. So the people that support the Patreon, that's exclusive to y'all. But those who are on the YouTube channel, I still will put about 15 minutes of those videos up. You'll still get some information in those like I just did recently. But if you want to see the full version, it'll be on Patreon. So what I can do is just show y'all some of that. So y'all can check out a little bit of it. And hopefully y'all be interested enough to go and pledge to the Patreon, to donate monthly, more resources, so that way we can get things growing bigger and we can touch community like how we want to touch and expand in the community and be able to bring better opportunities there. So I'm gonna go ahead and play some of that for y'all real quick. Hopefully this works. Again, like I said, I'm still trying this thing out. So let me see. How do I keep it here? And no, don't want to send that and take that off. All right. Maybe this works. Let's see. All right, hold on, family. Let me see if this works.
Here where it says
all right, hold on. Yo, Sean, hit me up, Sean. You can email me, Sean. Right, kingdomharbinger@gmail.com. Just email me, Sean, and I got you. If you don't have my number, just email me and we can exchange that. All right. All right. So I'm gonna play some of this footage here. I just want to share my screen real quick. Like I said, give me a second. I'm still working on perfecting this thing right here. Let's see. Hopefully it'll play video. Should I do application or Chrome tab? Maybe application. Let's see. All right. So I'm gonna give it a second. You let me know if y'all see the screen. I think I might have to send it over. the same shall be called great in the kingdom. Do you want to be the least or the great in the kingdom? Y'all not really saying, well, hold on. Do y'all want to be the least or the great? By breaking one of the commandments to say, oh, we ain't got to keep the law, but then they'll say, well, this is before he died. So we throw this all out there, and then what are we reading this for? What? So I always ask Christians, listen, if you say this before he died, then why are you even reading it? Why is this here? Get rid of it. Because you got to account for this. He says, for I say to you that except your righteousness exceed the righteousness of the scribes and Pharisees who keep the law, ye shall in no case what? So wait, hold on. So I get rid of the law, I throw away the law, and I say, I'm getting into the kingdom. But then he says, wait, if your righteousness don't exceed the what?
The scribes and Pharisees.
Then you shall in no wise what? Now this is what Yeshua is saying. Now somebody try to jump to Paul and say, wait, hold on, it's a different ball game. And that's why I say Paul was commissioned to who? The Gentiles. Yes.
This is almost completely random when we're talking about the least and the great in the kingdom.
Yes.
Can't a Gentile be a priest?
He broke the Sabbath. Because he did this and he did that. And I said, have you read the Talmud? Paul is saying. Paul's helping to open the door so you can get in. He broke the Sabbath. Because he did this and he did that. And I said, have you read the Talmud? Do you know about the oral law traditions? Oh, you don't know that? There's a whole section on the Sabbath. And this is not in Scripture. This is halakha. This is not in Scripture. So those things that they had laid out, that they wanted the people to follow, was not in Scripture, not in the written Scripture. So are people obliged to keep that? Everybody. Right? He's talking to everybody. Yes? Let me say it again. I don't know if y'all awake. Is he speaking to everybody or just one person? Everybody. He's talking to everybody. And what is he saying? Verse 2.
Saying the scribes and the Pharisees sit in Moses' seat.
Wait, they sit in Moses' seat. What does that mean, they sit in Moses' seat?
They judge.
They judge, but they also represent the law. Is Moses the one that gave the law to the people, right? The book of the law and the Ten Commandments. And then read verse 3. Read it slow.
All therefore.
Wait, some of it.
All therefore.
A little bit of it.
All therefore.
Part of it.
All therefore.
Only on the Sabbath.
All therefore. Whatsoever they bid you to observe, that observe and do.
Wow.
But do not do after their works, for they say and do not.
Slow down. That's how you exceed the righteousness of the scribes and Pharisees. That's how you exceed the righteousness of the scribes and the Pharisees. Because if they're being called hypocrites, they do one thing, they say one thing and do something else. There's no consistency. But if you're consistent, you can exceed their righteousness. But he told you that they sit in the seat of Moses, and whatever they tell you to do and bid you do, they teach them from the law. I didn't write this. But watch this. People will say, this is before Jesus died. Let's go to Matthew chapter 24. Let me show you something interesting. Matthew chapter 24.
Well, what's relevant about this saying before you die?
Because they say we ain't got to, none of this applies to us because this is only when he was alive. When he died, all of this has changed. It's all been modified.
No, wait, but they said they didn't come to do that. So he already said it. And they said now.
You're right, and that's common. That's just common sense. But they try to supersede common sense. Hey, I even propose this to people who I know are atheists that don't get into none of this, and they just like, it's common sense what the text is saying. And I'm like, that's what I thought too. But hey, go to Matthew chapter 24, verse 20. Let's watch this. Because you know the Sabbath is done away with, right? When you go to wait, go back up to the top. I want the people to see context. And Yeshua went out and departed from the temple, and the disciples came to him to show him the buildings of the temple. And Yeshua said to them, see not all these things, verily I say to you, there shall not be one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down. And as he sat upon the Mount Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, tell us, when shall these things be, and what shall be the sign of thy coming, and the what? End of the world. Wait, this is what the context is, right? The end of the world. That means even after he dies, right? Let's go to verse 20. Slow down. Wait, hold on. Let him which is on the housetop not come down, take anything. Neither let him that's in the field return back to his clothes. And woe to him that with a child, to them that give suck in those days. But pray ye that your flight be not in the winter, neither on what? Wait, hold on. Wait. The Sabbath day has been done away with. So end times,
What was that even matter? Wait. I don't think y'all understand. Let's slow this down. Let's rewind. He's talking about the end times. He's not talking about why he's alive right then. He's telling you what's going to happen in the end times. And he says, but pray that your flight not be in the winter, neither on the what? Saturday. Why would that matter? If the law's done away with, and there's no Sabbath, right? In the end times, I mean, somebody's going to be keeping the Sabbath. So when these things are happening, and in context, three things we're dealing with here. Perfect, righteous, and, well, it should really be blameless. But righteous is one of them. Blameless. Click onto it, and then we're going to go to the word for blameless. Right there.
The sons of Elohim,
What?
without rebuke,
Keep going.
in the midst of a crooked and pervasive nation, perverse nation, among whom ye shine as lights in the world.
So it has both being ritually pure and morally pure. One of them is ritual purification, and one of them is moral purification, right? So the ritual is when you offer the lamb, right? It has to be ritually pure. But morally, when you're presented before Yah, 9 and 273. Be mature enough so that way we also can be righteous and we can be blameless. Is it possible that that is what the understanding of perfection is? Yes? No? Yes. We saw walking in the statute, laws, and commandments. Don't dispute, no murmurs, right? Unless you're doing your biblical meditation before Yah. Okay? Yes.
But the Christians say that's impossible to do.
It's impossible to do. Moving the goalposts again. And the thing is, we're not negating Yeshua's work. We're not negating that. But the question is, why are the apostles and the people still keeping their culture if they're being told that all of this is garbage? Throw it away.
To say something is impossible will go against the scripture that says all things are possible.
Wait, I was about to get there. Say that again. No, say it again.
To say that something is impossible will go against the concept even of believing that all things are possible in Yeshua.
Wow. All things are possible in Yeshua, but yet you can't even be mature enough to do the things that you're instructed to do. Hold on. If it's just a mouth confession, that means the KKK are Christians too. That's what I was trying to say to them. And they'll tell me, oh no, but the KKK, they hang, lynch, but all of them didn't do that. All of them ain't do that. And then they'll say that this righteous anger, right, why they do what they do, but then you have people in the military that go overseas and shoot and kill people. Now, is that against Torah? Oh, wait, say that again. Diplomats ain't the ones that's going to pick up a gun and shoot somebody. They have to convey what's going on with the people to another group of people. Yes, no? You got too many warriors and not enough think tanks, ambassadors, diplomats, but they want everybody to be a warrior. It's just giving you examples of people who persevered because of their faith and obedience. About Noah, it says that they were what? They were what? They were blameless and they were righteous because of the perverse generation in which they lived. They kept what the Most High told them to keep, and that made them righteous in front of everybody. But then I had a brother tell me in Hebrews chapter 11, he said, yo, Samson was a Christian. That's what he said. He said Samson was a Christian. I said, Joe, I missed that. What scripture is that? He said, no, he's in the Hall of Faith. I'm the Hall of Faith. The Hall of Faith didn't say all these people were Christians. It didn't say that. It's just giving you examples of people who persevered because of their faith and obedience. But Samson was a Christian. He said, well, people was to see the story. They wouldn't think he was a Christian, but he was a Christian. Hebrews 11 said he's in the Hall of Faith. That was incredible. I said, I didn't see the confession in the heart and the confession with the mouth. I ain't. When you understand that perfect means to be complete, to be sound, and to be in accordance with the will of Yah. Segment and finish off. But I want you to see that according to the text that you can be mature, you can be perfect. When you understand that perfect means to be complete, to be sound, and to be in accordance with the will of Yah. It's not, oh man, you can't do no error. And that's why, but then why would Yeshua tell them to be as something is? Why even give that command if you can't accomplish it? Then we read in Hebrews chapter 5, verse 12 to 14, where it says that the full age is when you're able to eat meat and not drink the milk. Yes? So they tell you it can be done. You can be perfect if you're able to discern right from wrong. Now you at a degree of maturity, full age, or perfection. Now what you do after that is another story.
All right, family. So I'm gonna stop it there and transition. Okay. So hopefully y'all enjoyed that segment. Again, that lesson is about an hour and 15 minutes. There's a lot of good nuggets in there. All I did was just show y'all a preview, additional preview of it, because there's one already up on this channel. If y'all are interested in seeing the rest of that, y'all can go to Patreon, and y'all can definitely sign up for Patreon, because I want to make sure that the people who put the effort forth to commit to supporting this ministry, that we're able to give them, a special thank you for their continued support, which extends to the programs that we offer and allow people to get services for free, right? So that's my thank you for those who are Patreon subscribers. If you want to sign up for Patreon, the information is right there, www.patreon.com /DivineProspect, all right? So let's move that out the way. So yeah, that's definitely a good lesson. I mean, me personally, I thought it was pretty decent, what I'm saying? But a lot of people liked it. And initially I wasn't even going to put it up, but I said, you know what, I'm going to just give it out to the Patreon subscribers, because they've been faithful and they've been devoted. So I definitely want to continue to give content to them. All right. So with that being said, family, let's go ahead and transition forward. I'm trying to think of what I want to share with y'all on this quick session that I'm going to end shortly. If y'all have any quick questions, let me know. Please don't give me nothing deep. I love it, but right now I don't really have the time to really go too heavy on anything. So you can ask a quick question. I know I was going over the question of the Sabbath with the brother over the phone a couple days ago, and he's talking about the Sabbath. So Donnell Jones, Ezekiel 20:25, I answered that on a previous live stream. I think Tahira, beloved, I think she asked that same question and we addressed that. So that is 2 live streams ago. Go check the 2 live streams ago out and check on that. And we pretty much explained what that meant in context. People take that out of context a lot. All right. So I want to say shalom to my brother Michael praying in the building. Chika D. Israel. Yala Med 77, JT Preacher, Yesha Moore, Gathering the Israelite Nation Netherlands, Debate Talk for You Radio in the building. What's going on, Sal? Shout out to Brother Jay. Oh, Brother Jay. Brother Jay, do you want to get on this stream? If so, let me know. If you want to get on this stream, let me know. I'll welcome you on the stream. We could chat for a little bit. Let me know. All right. So Justin Alexander Pereira says, is Paleo Hebrew valid as Yahawashah or Shalom? No, it's not. From my perspective, it's not. So when people say Yahawashah, Shalom, people like to say that this is heavy A-class vowel usage, but that's not correct, because ayin, they attribute an I-class vowel to ayin, hence when you get Yahawashah. Paleo Hebrew is just a script, okay? You can use any script to reflect any language. The key things to look for is orthography, morphology, semantics, pragmatics, and syntax. And these things are the key features that you look for, because you can transliterate anything from one script to another script, but you're not just going to look for the things that's transcribed. Phonology plays an important role, and that's linked to morphology. So when you look at things with A-class vowels, it makes it very difficult that if I give a passage to somebody in just a Paleo Hebrew script, right, that's written with biblical Hebrew syntax, morphology, and then I tell them, hey, I want you to parse this out. Show me what a cow stem is, as opposed to a PL stem. You know what I'm saying? Show me these things, right? Show me what's a verbal noun and how to identify something that's a verbal noun. You know what I'm saying? Semantics wise, you know what I'm saying? Looking at certain words within context without the nikudot, or even just understanding the rational variance between various clauses to try and understand, hey, what is going on here is really difficult. Matter of fact, you know, and I think what I'll do is I want to do a session on that. I want to get a brother on who speaks Lashon Kodesh or Kadash, and go through the Hebrew with him. I want to really understand how they are managing grammar with Lashon Kodesh. Is extremely difficult with just A-class vowels, right? It's extremely difficult. It's not a lot of differentiation between words, okay? So you lose a lot of substance in the process. But anyway, I'll go over that another time, and we can definitely go into that because, I mean, you know, there's a lot of key features in Hebrew. Like just recently, I was going over with a couple of people the cohortative and the adjussive, right? And the adjussive, you know, is like an indirect command. Even when he said "let us," that could be considered adjussive as well. But there's different features in biblical Hebrew that you do what's called diagnostics on. Even when you look at weak verbs that contain gutturals or strong verbs, you'll be able to notice these things, and morphology and phonology helps you to discern certain things. So learning, like if I put up Paleo Hebrew, so the best way to put Paleo Hebrew is to pull it from the Dead Sea Scrolls 4Q, and a lot of those sections, if I'm not mistaken, 4Q22, if I'm not mistaken. I used to cite that a lot. That is written in Paleo Hebrew that comes from the Dead Sea Scrolls, but that uses biblical Hebrew syntax, morphology, and even phonology. I definitely want them to point out things like adjussive or cohortative or show me infinitive and things of this nature, and be able to show me these things simply by their A-class vowel understanding of things. I want them to be able to show me all the 7 verb stems and show me, you know, how they're conjugated within the Lashon Kodesh system. You know what I'm saying? I want to understand vocalization. Like, how do you know what's emphatic, right? Show me there's no accent mark. So then how would you pronounce this? And how would you say that? You know what I'm saying? Diphthongs. You know, how do you pronounce in diphthongs, right? Are you saying shamayim or shamayim? You know what I'm saying? Like, these are different features of the language that questions need to be asked to see if it's intelligible. Because if you cannot parse out and discern syntax, you know, and morphology within the overall scheme of grammar, then you're losing a lot of substance of the language. You know what I'm saying? This is extremely important. And if you're not studying sister cultural languages, right, such as Ugaritic, which would be some of the closest, or even Moabite, from the Moabite stela, the Moabite stone, and even things like Akkadian, even Aramaic, all of these other languages are important to help you get the semantical value, what they call the semantic domain. It's an area where the meaning, which is semantics mean, is located at, and how meaning is derived by looking at certain features within the language, right? And one of those is comparative linguistic studies, where you look at sister languages. I even did a little exercise on Facebook where I put up several Ugaritic words, and I said to people, okay, look, these are the Ugaritic words. I transliterated them, and I said, looking at these words, just the roots, right, the trilateral roots, I said, show me how many of them line up with that which is in Hebrew. And I said, you can be able to get past a lot of the glosses in the Hebrew text simply by studying Ugaritic. You know what I'm saying? And that is something else that we will show on this channel. But we will have private sessions where we discuss these things. You know what I'm saying? But I'll take some of those things from there and I'll put it here on this channel. Again, KHM is not designed to be a linguistic, you know, analytical study of the language. Like, that's not what this channel is for. We add elements of that to help further whatever the points that we're making as far as reconstructive or restorative culture. But the most important thing is that there's a lot of people in the community that they de-emphasize the importance of learning the language, you know what I'm saying, and learning it the correct way. And when you do that, you take a lot of value away from the text. Like, you know, I was talking to a brother the other day who was into Lashon Kodesh. I said, tell me what the diminutive is, right? Show me where that's at, you know, that feature. Show me where that's at in Lashon Kodesh. I had no clue what that was. I said, okay, that's interesting. I said, show me an interrogative. Is mach an interrogative? If so, show it to me. How can I find the interrogative? Couldn't find it. I said, well, show me the first person common singular prefix. Show that to me in the imperfect tense. Show it to me. How do I identify that if I'm reading this in the Lashon Kodesh. So it became a chore that this person could not even sift through the basics to even show me that they understand what it is that they're reading. You understand what I'm saying? Because you got to understand the semantical value of what they're reading is derived from people who already know the language from the BHS that we use today. You know what I'm saying? Which is derived from Leningrad Codex, which is part of the majority text type, and that has diacritic marks in it. So if a person never knew that, unless they are raised by native speakers of the language, it's very difficult. Even with the native speakers, there's no all A-class vowels. It makes it very difficult. And this is not me banging on people that use Lashon Kodesh. This is me just showing you, if you're using that system, there are some things you have to account for. And all I'm trying to do is get an understanding of how do you account for these things. All right. Virtue, no. You had some calques, right? Calques. You had some calques that was there. You had some loan words that was there, that was Semitically infused. But no, it was not no pure language. Now, some people that was in that region, they may have, but you got to understand what happened historically. So it's very difficult to say that it was a pure, Hebrew language that people were speaking in West Africa like that. I mean, unless they was identified as being Jews and they was in these enclaves together in certain areas, there was a lot of cultural diffusion that took place, that came with acculturation that ended in enculturation. So now you had an amalgamation of things that was going on in that region due to a migrational infusion. Okay. So when people make those claims, I like to have discussions to kind of bring those things out so that way we can vet it. So you said, how can modern Hebrew be valid if the so-called Jewish people speak it? All right. So anybody can learn any language. All right. You can go and learn Mandarin Chinese. So if a Black person learns Mandarin Chinese and speaks Mandarin Chinese, does that mean that that Black person is a native speaker to that language? Does that mean they created that language? No, that does not mean that at all. So and I'll give you an example. When we look at Iron Age inscriptional Hebrew, right? And this is why I like the David Klein's lexicon, which is a semantic dictionary of classical Hebrew, where he includes inscriptional Hebrew. And when you get into inscriptional Hebrew, there's words that are used that are not found within the text and have to be accounted for. Okay, so what I'm saying is you can make that intelligible. Even with people that use the Matres Lectiones, you can still make it somewhat intelligible, right? But the point I'm trying to make is just because a person learns to speak to a language that may not natively be theirs does not mean that the language becomes invalid because another ethnic group speaks that language. If that's the case, me speaking English is null and void. I speak English, but my ancestors didn't create English. They didn't create English. So does that make English null and void because I speak it and me nor my ancestors were the ones that created the language or wrote the text in which I'm reading stuff from? No. All right. Jeshurun says Aramaic is the mother tongue. Interesting. If you do believe that, definitely furnish some resources on that. And by the way, family, you can share this video, share the video, hit the thumbs up to like if you're enjoying what you're seeing. Definitely subscribe if you're brand new, or if you've been visiting a while, have not hit that subscribe button, hit and smash that subscribe button. All right. Thank you for joining in. I appreciate that. All right. So Araya Yasharala said, what laws do we follow in captivity? Excellent question. And we can go over some of those. I brought up that document that I had before, where it laid out the 613 statute laws and commandments. So we can go over that if y'all want to in a separate session. I had a series that I started, I didn't finish it going into that, but that's a great question that a lot of people ask. So I definitely want to get y'all into that. All right. Donnie Gunter, possibly. I'm not sure. I have to see if you have a video which he laid that out in. Definitely share it with me because I've seen some of his material, and I think from what I've seen, some of it we do agree on. But if there's something in particular, send me a video. Let me check it out, and I'll be able to give you my feedback on it. All right. All right. So 7 is set apart said. So in the most ancient form of Hebrew, how would you say the Father's name based off your studies? Don't mean to drag the topic. All right. So my position, and again, upcoming lecture, I'm trying to close out the year with it since I didn't get to do it sooner like I anticipated, and I'm going to be traveling later on this fall. But the name that I utilize is Yahoo. Yahoo is the name that I utilize because it is the most antiquated attested form of Yod Hey Wav Hey, which we will see that shows up in the literature and then shows up inscriptionally in the monarchy period. Okay, pre-monarchy period, we don't see Yod Hey Wav Hey, right? So I posit that Yod Hey Wav Hey is a play on Yod Hey Wav grammatically because the objective was to assert the preeminence of the deity in the region of Canaan. And that's why we have a third person masculine singular imperfect conjugated verb as a name. Okay, it's not even a verbal noun in a sense where it follows the rules of turning a verb into a noun. Why is this the case? Because you got to understand politically and socially what was going on in the region of Canaan. Now, I don't want to give too much away from my lecture, but suffice it to say that the scribes, the priesthood, and the king during various reforms were the ones responsible for pushing Yod Hey Wav Hey. And that's my position. And then we find it later on in the literature. All right. But the literature in the form we have today was not put in the state that it is in today during the time period that's contemporary to Iron Age Israel being in the land. All right. So a lot of things you got to check out, a lot of things you got to follow. So that's why I say Yod Hey Wav, because it is the earliest attested form of the name prior to the Israelites setting up a monarchy. Right. So that's my position on that. And again, when I do my lecture, I'll show it. I said we have vestiges of that notion when we look at suffixes and theophoric names. When you look at prefixes in some theophoric names, you get Yeho, right? Like Yehoshaphat, etc. But then when you look at Yesha Yahu, you'll see that the Yahu and the Yeho still playing on the same thing, which I posit is a vestige of that earlier rendition of Yod Hey Wav. Now, there's some scholars are obviously divided on this, and when I do the lecture, I'm going to bring out all the scholarly references, pro and con on this. But I hold fast to that position because I show the evolution and the progress based on environmental factors, social factors, political factors, environmental stresses, diet, etc. That all of this stuff is integral in understanding the deity's name, which is extremely important, and how El Shaddai, as a deity in the region of Canaan, lost their control in that region because the people decided not to worship the deity. So they've defamed the deity's name, and the deity had to allot time for that sin to fill up before judgment can commence. And this is why the Israelites, with Moshe, they used Yod Hey Wav Hey or Yod Hey Wav, and they entered into the land because the objective was the deity was utilizing them as a vessel in order to reassert their prominence of El in that region. Okay, which somewhat positive would be the rightful, because El is Elyon is the chief deity, but El Shaddai is the one that gives sustenance, or the creator giving sustenance to the creation. And the objective, the fighting and reclaiming that land, is to reestablish the preeminence of that deity as the chief El in that region. Okay, because the people had lost their way due to the Amorites' infusion into that region and them bigging up Baal and Yam. And in doing so, Abraham was contracted to restore that name, and in return, Shaddai means he will give substance unto that entity, where he would be fruitful and multiply through his progeny, and not just his progeny, but also material wealth. And that's why every time we read in the literature, they're always expanding and growing, expanding and growing, expanding and growing. You know what I'm saying? Because that was something that was contracted in, that the deity would ensure that the health-wise of these people would be in a state where they will constantly be able to expand and grow, as a sign of the contract that was made with their forefathers, right? So that lecture is going to be pretty heavy. I'm going to get into it linguistically, historically. I'm going to bring in the scholarly references. I'm going to get into the archaeology. It's a really great lecture. I'm going to put a lot into it. So I'm not going to rush it. I'm going to put a lot into it. When I feel like it's fully baked, I'll release it. But I just want to let people know it's not for the dogmatic at heart. It's really not for the dogmatic at heart. But I will say is once you're able to grasp this, it will enhance your understanding of anything that seems to be out of sync or not harmonious from what you read in the text to what you see in the archaeological record. All right. Okay, let me see what y'all saying. Shout out to Jay Lee in the building, Virtue in the building, Yacob James in the building. Thank you for joining in. Karel Bickham, for his glory. Shalom. All right. All right. So for his glory, 24:19 says, the question has to do with days and nights doctrine. When does the day and the night start? Jay Lee, you can shoot me an email, kingdomharbinger@gmail.com. Shoot me an email, kingdomharbinger@gmail.com. And we can set that up. And then I can bring you on. You can speak. You know what I'm saying? Virtue says there is no standardized Hebrew language. Let no man deceive you. Virtue, what do you mean there's no standardized Hebrew language? There is a standardized Hebrew language. If you disagree with that, that's fine. If you would like to put forth your grievance and be able to expound on that, let me know and I could bring you on the platform. You could definitely chat on it. All right. Yacob James, I completely agree with that because I'm about community and autonomy. The scribes and priests removed the sacred name for a substitute title. Are you talking about Adonai? Is that what you're talking about? Which is translated as Lord, and where the diacritic marks for Adonai is superimposed onto Yod He Wav He, hence where you get Yehovah. So just highlight me. So for his glory, I'm gonna touch on what you got real quick. Shalom to Mario Pearson in the building. 7 is set apart anytime. Aki, I got you. So Jerusalem Shiloh says, so ancient Hebrew is the same as modern. I wouldn't say it's the same per se. I mean, this is where textual criticism comes in. This is where studying living languages that are related to it comes in. This is where comparing scripts from sister cultures and the language the script represents from sister cultures to derive certain things. So I would say that, I mean, we don't have nobody from that time period here today still speaking it the way they spoke it in Iron Age Israel, right? So there's some margin of error, you know what I'm saying? But for the most part, on the reconstruction that's been done as it is 2019 is pretty close to what was spoken during that time period. But you got to understand, the diacritic marks that we have today, it preserves the Tiberian vocalization system, okay? And this is what the Masoretes added to their manuscripts, you know what I'm saying? That family of manuscripts preserves the Tiberian vocalization system. Now, obviously, that's not the only vocalization system that existed, but it's the one that has been preserved and is the one that helps us to understand the grammar of the text. All right, so there's different ways that can be argued, discussed, but if somebody says that there's no standardized language, if they say that Lashma Kodesh is the original, whatever, definitely email me, kingdomharbinger@gmail.com. I could bring you on the show and we can have a dialogue about it, all right? Okay. All right. So for his glory, you said days and nights doctrine. When does the day and night start? All right. So I addressed this in a video on this channel. That's called "Is the Sabbath a 24-hour or 12-hour period?" So for his glory 24:19, you can definitely go back to that video and check it out. It's the video that I did on the Sabbath, where I start in Bereshit and I break that down. I guess I could kind of summarize it for right now for you. So let me do one for you real quick for his glory. All right. So when you're saying when does the day and night start? So understanding that the Iron Age Israelites, pre-Exilic Israelites, had a relative dating system, right? So their time was really relative to events, okay? So now over time, as things developed, you get your day and your night, which is your yom, which is your day, and your night, which could be your leila, which means darkness or night. But then you also have things such as boker and erev, right? Which is what people say morning and evening, which is really just representative of which twilight period is ushering either the day or ushering either the night, okay? So when we look in Bereshit chapter 1, we get the initial, at least from the worldview perspective from the ancient Israelites who preserved that tradition, where they discuss when the day and night cycles or night and day cycles start or begin. So I could probably touch on that a little bit. Let me bring up the text real quick. Let me bring up the text real quick. All right. Okay. So, Genesis chapter 1, or Bereshit chapter 1. Let's take a look at this real quick. I'm going to read this from the ESV. All right. It says, in the beginning, Elohim created the heavens and the earth. The earth was without form, without void. Darkness over the face of the deep, and the spirit of Elohim was hovering over the face of the water. So now we have that term darkness, which is there. Again, we're looking at all the buzzwords that help us to begin to, peruse through the text and trying to get the keys that we're looking there. Now, that word darkness that's used there is interesting. It's the word hoshek, right? Hoshek. So hoshek means darkness, obscurity. It comes from the root word hasach, which means to be or grow dark, to dim, to make dark, something that's blackened or darkened. All right, that's the root word hashach, right? So hoshek is playing off of hashach, which means the dimming or the darkening of something, right? It contrasts to what we're going to see going forward. But what's interesting here, we have this term here, tohu wabohu. And we see this phrase elsewhere when we go into the book of Jeremiah. We see this phrase here, tohu vahu, right? So that can be found in Jeremiah 4:23 or Yirmiyahu 4:23, where it talks about something that is going to take place, which is very interesting. But nevertheless, reading it here, your word hoshek is used there for darkness. So if something's getting dim, something's getting dark, this is extremely interesting because I did maybe about 3 videos on it. I did a video on Genesis. I did one on the Sabbath or whatever, where I go in depth about this, right? But what's interesting is that light phenomenon that we see, because it says here, and the earth, right? Where haaretz, the earth was ha-yetah, tohu wabohu, where hosek al pene tehom, where ruach Elohim merachepet al pene hamayim, right? You have hamayim. Right. So interestingly enough, you have this ruach, and the spirit of Elohim was hovering over the face of the waters. Now, something was dark in a sense where the root or the shoresh growing dark, right, is there. And that darkness was covering over the earth because it was formless and void, and this darkening situation was happening over the earth, like something was taking place. And then now you have this spirit that is coming over it and is hovering over it and starts brooding over it, right? So verse 3, it says, and Elohim said, let there be light, and there was light. Interesting. So this thing saying, let there be light, yehi or, wahi or. All right, Wayomer, and he said, it's in the conjunctive or conservative wav, or consecutive wav, which means it's in the perfect tense. It says, and he said, Elohim, let there be light, and there was light. So now we see that there was some kind of darkening situation. Some darkening was happening, right? Something was dimming or getting dark, and now the Ruach comes and brings forth this light over this darkening situation, which is really interesting. And people say, well, what was that light during that time period? Was that the sun? Can't be the sun because the sun was made much later, blah, 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 whatever the case may be, right? But I'm just fast forwarding a little bit. What we do see is that darkness is there first, or something getting dim, something growing dark is there first, or something that's grown dark in the noun sense. And then light was used to contrast that darkness. So it's dark first and then light. And what is interesting, it says, Wayach Elohim et haor ki tov, Wayedel Elohim ben haor uben hahoshek, right? Where it says, and he saw that the light was good and divided between the darkness and the light. The word hahoshek is there, and haor, divided between the darkness and the light. So keep that in mind. We don't have Yom and Layla yet. We just have our or haor, the light, and hahoshek, which is the darkness, right? So they're contrasted. And then it says, and he called Yikra, and he called Elohim laor yom we lahoshek hara la yela wahi ereb wahi boker yom echad. Now, this is the part that I took there, the yom echad there, where it says yom meaning day, and saying this is the first day, what we're reading in Bereshit chapter 1, verse 5. And when he called the light day, so now, or the lightness was attributed to the word day, and darkness was attributed to what we would call night, la yela. It was attributed to night. So that growing or dimming was attributed to the night, and the light that sprung up is attributed to the day. And it says, and in evening, it says first, ereb wahi boker, evening, and then it says was morning, and then we have a break, and it says the first day, because that summarizes what took place. So now you had evening and then morning. Now remember, erev and boker, a lot of interesting things here. We have or yom, we have hoshech, Leila, we have Ereb, Boker, and we have Yom Echad. Extremely important. Watch this. So it says the evening, and what does the evening represent? What does Erev represent? The Erev represents the transition twilight period. So evening means light is going into darkness. And then Boker is when darkness is transitioning into light. Remember, there's 3 phases of twilight. You have your, well, depending upon if it's going from night to day or day to night, but it transitions in 3 phases. You have your astronomical twilight, you have your nautical twilight, and you have your civil twilight. Then you have your civil twilight, your nautical twilight, and your astronomical twilight. All these things are extremely important, and they correlate with what goes on, geologically speaking, right, in regards to the earths. So looking at this, we see that there was darkness first, then light came onto the darkness, and then now the transition period started to happen now, right? Where the evening came, where the light may have removed itself, so darkness can stay there on the earth. And then the morning came, in which the light came back to the earth. So it says this was the first day. So now, even though or is attributed to Yom, in that context, more context, when it's summarized, those actions that's taking place, those transitional actions that's taking place, is considered the first Yom or Yom Echad. Because we know we when we look at this, we see this is extremely interesting. That is solved right there. Genesis 1 and 5 answers that question when you delve into it grammatically, and when you'll be able to understand these associations without the doctrine. When you have an objective analysis and you use a methodological approach that's going to yield you a deductive result, the objective is that you're going to get something that's weaned away from your presuppositional ideas, notions, beliefs, etc. So there we have this happening here that is littered in the literature, where we have that transition period where the darkness, which comes from the root word to grow, to be dim, or this entity or this noun or this substance or whatever it is, was darkening the earth, and it covered over the earth. And then the Ruach came and spoke the lightness that shine onto the earth, and that transition of dark to light. And now we got that light going to dark, and that dark coming back to light. That portion there is considered Echad, Yom Echad, the first day. Right? That's crucial. Just like I was going over Shemot chapter 16, and I was telling people, if you really want to understand the Shabbat or the Sabbath, you have to study Shemot chapter 16. If you don't study that, then you're not going to understand anything about the Shabbat. And the text actually gives you, I'm not going to say exact, but the text gives you a pretty good way to reckon when the Shabbaton, or the smaller rest period within the larger rest period, takes place. It gives you that period of time in which you're supposed to have that Shabbaton, that rest period. And according to Shemot chapter 16, it's during the Boker time, the twilight time, all the way to whenever the sun waxes the hottest. That is the period of time where rest should be done, because this was the test that was given to the children of Israel by Yah, because they were supposed to get this manna during the day, which were like flakes, that was like coriander seed and honey wafers or whatever. You know, these flakes would bloom during the twilight hours, the late twilight hours, and then it would melt or defrost during when the sun waxes the hottest, which we know, if you're looking at astronomy in relation to geology, we see that occurs from anywhere from nearing to what we say today, 12 p.m. to about 3 p.m., right? When the sun is waxing the hottest, right? When it reaches its zenith and when it starts to decline, that during this time period is when the flakes started to defrost. So the rest period was the time period where they went to go and collect this manna, and they had to get it within a particular period of time. And they were supposed to rest on the seventh day from collecting this manna. Had nothing to do with the quails in the evening. Just the manna during the day was the example for the period of time once you rest on that 7th cycle period during what's called the week. What you're resting during the week is that small period of time where the 7th Yom comes in. When that evening hits, what we say is Friday evening, when that evening hits, that ushers in your 7th cycle, your 7th Yom, right? Your 7th day. And that is considered the Shabbat, because that Shabbaton is held within that larger period of the Shabbat, which is the set apart day. And the example that's given is going to get the manna. The text is clear. It shares that. It tells you that. It explains that. The information is there. There's really not a lot of guesswork that needs to be done, because the text is clear and explains that. Go back to the video on my channel. It's a teleconference that I did, that I was invited to. It's on my channel. It's called Is a Sabbath, a 24-hour, 12-hour period. You get more information. I expound on it more. And it's not just me. I'm speaking to several other elders that hold several other positions. And simply, I was like, listen, y'all arguing the wrong thing. 12 hours, 24 hours. I said, listen, it's relative dating, right? If you don't understand relative dating, you're thinking in absolute dating terms, which is more Euro-Western. We got to look at it relative to the indigenous population, where things was based on the environment, right? Even that term olam, people use the word olam, meaning forever or whatever the case be. It's really that which is beyond the horizon that can't be seen, because when people pass, it's believed that they've passed on to the realm beyond the horizon that cannot be seen, right? But that's neither here nor there. All right. So anyway, hopefully that helps. So you said follow up on darkness. All right, hold on. Let me see what else is going on here. Shout out to Lynette C in the building. What's going on, sis? Chris Dupree, shalom. What's going on? Daylon Branch is in the building. Okay, what's up, Aki? All right. Let me see. Sankofa John, that's a great question. I mean, I could touch on some of that as well if you like, because that is a area that a lot of people do not really venture into. They reference it, but they don't venture into it. And I did some venturing into it a couple years ago, but I haven't really revisited in depth since then, since 2017, I believe, 16, 17. But I'll get back into it. We can talk about that and look at that cultural element in regards to the Ge'ez Amharic, because that is a very important sister language to what we know as Hebrew, right? And you also, what I've done is going through the Ge'ez Amharic. I found some ways in which certain words are applied when it's translated that actually help shed some light on the biblical Hebrew text, which is really interesting, really interesting. I love to go into that at some other time. But I realize that linguistics is really, it's boring to some people, right? I love it, but it's boring to some people. That's why I don't overload people with that on my channel. But I do bring it up when it's necessary to try and put an exclamation mark on a point that I make. You know what I'm saying? So family, I gotta end this short. I'm getting a very important phone call, so I gotta end this short. Thank you for watching. I'm sorry, it's an emergency phone call. Thank you for watching. I will definitely try to go back live sometime this weekend, but please keep me in prayer because there's an emergency phone call right now. Let me take care of this, and I'll follow up with y'all soon. All right. Thank you for watching, and I'll be on again soon. All right. Peace and